Hey, 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 what is going on, IK Familia? I'm pretty excited about today. This is going to be a cleansing of the soul video, hashtag exposed, hashtag, let's just go with that, double hashtag for the pun there, and we're going to really break down a lot of information. So, again, buckle up, get ready. Here's my TOC for today. We're going to start off talking about the S36 current state of affairs. I'm going to give you a quick TLDR here. And then we're going to dive immediately into giving you some voice clips from the GA hosted meeting that happened. And then we'll also give you some clips, a few, that were from the post town hall meeting after the GA hosted meeting happened. We will show you some screenshots. I'm gonna give you my opinion, my feedback, just my overall thoughts on how things went. We'll conclude, and then at the end of the video, for those of you that make it there, I'll also be giving you some information on the new jumper project. Ah, you hit it. You heard it here first. There will be a later video coming out about that though too as well. Okay, so let me start off first with what is the current state of affairs in S36 after the last update that we posted. So again, I'm not one to sit here and tell anyone that there's no hope at all whatsoever. I'm only going to give you the facts for what is currently happening. GA has redeclared war on the server, with the exception of, I think, a few, 1 to 2, 1 to 3 alliances. And right now, people are just kind of in a state of disarray. Right, there's obviously options for players, and anyone that's in S36, whether you want to keep playing your account, whether you are free to play or you spent money, and then you just want to try and look to migrate out once you can find a server that is going to meet your ideals, meet your goals, what you're looking for. You can stay and maybe just hope things work out. You can drop the account and restart in a new server or join a jump project. Keep in mind, there are options for you. And even for me and my account, right, I'm going to keep this one in S36. I'm going to keep playing it until I can find a server to move to. And again, that's kind of where we're at right now. Let me go ahead and now jump into some of the voice clips, some of the audio that we're going to be taking a listen to. Let's minimize. We're going to pop this open. Okay, so let me start off first. Again, there's a lot to talk about, and this is going to be really the bulk of it. So if you're interested in the drama llama and you want to see some facts for what has been happening, I'm going to break down these things as we come up, and I'm going to go one by one with these things as well, because there is a lot. So I think this is the one. Okay, yes. So let's do this first. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start off on, I think 310 is my first one here. Okay, let's see where 310 is. Okay, here we go. No.
But right now
Okay.
we are as this. I am not sure how many people, but it's more than enough. In the end, all alliance leaders and officers gonna inform what we talk here, so you can make an. And then I am open for any questions, and I am open for any opinions, and I am open for whoever wants to speak. They can speak. As I said, I am not the leader of anything. I am not the boss of anything. I just take a step and gather people here, and we show them which you can trust us. And in the past, I'm talking about past because I don't want to argue about past anymore. We will talk about the future.
Okay. So let me pause here for a moment, and don't worry, there's going to be plenty of other clips that are going to give you the same level of context as well. Right, so the first thing we heard was that, the assumption is that everyone's just going to send out mails right after the meeting, kind of explaining what happens. Yeah, I think that would be nice for most people to do, but I also think it's a little assumptuous to assume that everyone's going to send out alliance mails after the meeting is done, like you just declared that, and then it's just going to happen, given everything that the players in S36 know about GA. I mean, is it just a completely unrealistic expectation, or does Jutu in this case really truly believe that everything that has happened up until this point, he can just make that kind of assumption that everyone's going to send out mails because he mentioned it. I find that a little lackluster. And then the next thing was, whoever wants to speak, right? He's not the boss of anything, right? So he wants to hear from everyone. Awesome, I love that. Does not want to talk about the past, but yet at the same time, right? Wait a moment.
In the past, GA has attacked mostly all server.
First off, it's either mostly or it's all server. All server supersedes mostly. So I am happy though that he did come out and admit that they attack everyone, because this was something that I know a lot of players and even some of the neutral alliances were getting misinformation from some of the other GA players at the time when they were trying to come out and say, oh no, we don't attack everyone, we only attack Syndicate, or we only attack specific alliances. So it's nice to get a hard confirmation on that. Here we go. So let's scroll a little bit more. Oh, that's my next timestamp here.
And at the beginning, and after some point, like 1 week later, everyone was very happy about the situation. So afterwards, the bigger alliances started to contact me and leave the syndicates and be their own, and so we will not attack them, and they start to grow up. And after some point, like 1 week later, everyone was very happy about the situation.
Okay. So I wanted to pause here, and yes, I'm sure some people are probably going to see some of the DMs. Shout out to my boy Fram. So he talks about how alliances were neutral, or they started having more alliances becoming neutral, and they were happy with the situation. Right? Let me show you real quick. Oh gosh, let me see where the first one is going to be. Not there, not there. Oh, you know what? Hang on, it's not there. Let me see. Let's pull this up over here. So there was a set of screenshots that were sent to us, and it was in regards to them. Okay, so here it is. Let me scroll this over. And we will update this. Okay, so this is a set of screenshots that completely contradicts what Jutu said. Again, this is a neutral alliance. This is the R6 of LKD and S36. We did briefly, I think, show this off as well in the previous video. But I'm just going to give you the TLDR here, which you can see this is a person. He's going on, he says, is your alliance neutral? He says, we don't support anyone, we are neutral, right? Which, again, goes towards Jutu saying that all neutral alliances were extremely happy. He's like, did you promise them a city? Right, does your leader know you're in their Discord? We have no deal like that. Are you discussing projects with them? No. And then he says, so you support their jumper projects? He says, depends. I suggest if you support their project, right, you move. And then he says, then leave their Discord. They brainwash people, right? This is where the passive-aggressive threats start coming in. He says, no, they won't. Don't worry. Then we'll put LKD on our hit list. So basically, this is the threat, right, where he's threatening the neutral alliance that they need just to completely omit themselves and remove themselves not only from the Discord, which is a kingdom Discord for everyone that we had set up for S36, and needs to take them off the diplomacy board, declare whatever it may be, whether that's publicly or not, that they're just not aligned, right? So that's where the threats start coming out from Altair, as we showed previously. So again, just wanted to point that out because it completely contradict what Jutu is saying here based on the premise of all these neutral alliances came together and went neutral. Maybe some of them did, but many of them we've been contacted and have been shown screenshots from others saying that they were threatened. Okay, let us continue. And where am I at? 521. All right, we are going to...
So afterwards, other stuff. And in the end, I just don't want to talk about how we win the war, how we defeat the syndicates or something. In the end, the syndicate people left the project.
Okay, so I just want to point this out. Keep in mind, in the beginning, at 4:15, he mentioned he doesn't want to talk about the past, just want to talk about the future. I'll drop the mic and move on. All right, now let's go to...
Glad that. I'm very happy with that. And now we are here to speak together, and we can make we can build something together with everyone.
Okay, so now the narrative is changing a little bit as far as at this stage in the meeting. Again, even though it's really early with him going to now we want to work together, right? We're going to try and build. Okay, so I think at this point, right, a little bit of the car salesmanship that we're getting, and again, I think if there wasn't all this history that had already happened throughout this S36's timeline, right, this probably would be a little bit more believable. And then now let me get to the next one, and we're going to come back around to this. I'm going to give you guys the big shebang at the end, which you'll probably be like, "Oh my gosh, wow! I can't believe people stayed for the entire meeting when it was almost all a sham." So let's do a few more clips, and then we'll move on to the big shabooyaboo.
One equally sitting on the for that. The second topic is what happened going to be on PvP, because many people was asking and many people waiting today. By the way, guys, I am not reading the chat right now.
Okay, so he says many people reached out about PvP, but how many is many? Right. To me, this just seems like a similar reoccurrence to what happened in S8, where the TLDR there truly is you had leads in many of the alliances that claimed they knew what their players wanted, that they were getting many messages all the time about people wanting server-wide PvP and just wanting to open it up, that they just wanted more PvP in general, and that was their solution, was to do server-wide PvP, and then later tearing it off. So similar thing is happening here, where again, even in the S8 situation, right? They never did an actual straw poll. They never did number counts. They never went out and reached out to people to figure out how many people actually wanted PvP. Right? It was the megaphone effect, and you'll hear me talk about this a lot, where you have a few people that could be spread out. And it could be a few people from multiple alliances. And just because they're saying the same thing over and over and over again, it doesn't mean that it then translates to a lot of people. It's like a broken record player, right? But instead of that record player stopping, it just keeps getting louder. And that's kind of what is happening. It also factors into, are you as a leader knowledgeable and experienced enough to address those concerns when they come up, so you can explain to your players on why we do not do server-wide PvP, why it's a benefit, why it is a pro versus a con, and then you give them examples of servers that do server-wide PvP so you can properly explain it to players, especially during the beginning stages of a server. Okay, now let's go with... Okay, so here's going to be the first big one here, which is...
Okay. Actually, on server 24, we tried it, and it was a big success, and everyone in the server was enjoying it a lot. What was that? As you know, there's 6-7 days.
Okay, so he says that in S24 they did server-wide PvP, said it worked really well. Okay, we're going to fast forward a little bit, and then we're going to come back.
Uh, so we see that it is really hard to beat them. Then actually what we did,
Hang on, let me scroll back a little bit just so you can get the full
really
context.
happy to answer that
Okay.
before I'm passing to other topics. Mate, on 24, it was something like that. All whales gathered in the same alliance. And so we see that it is really hard to beat them. Then actually what we did, we split those whales onto the 3 factions. Okay? And they start war with each other in the PvP events, for example. So...
Okay, so I'm going to pause here. Shout out to my boy Shadow. He says that in S24... he provided a solution for what they did. Okay, now let me show how everything he just said is a complete lie. Okay, so I was sent some screenshots from a friend that made an account there and went to reach out to people in those servers. or excuse me, in S24, specifically messaging the leads. So Lukum is an R6 lead for a top 10 alliance, and you could see the question pretty straightforward, reaching out to ask if you know this player, and if so, what was your experience with him? In addition, wanted to ask, since he said that kill event, contention lords had whales, so players split up amongst the top alliances, is this true? He says, I used to work very close with him initially as my Mars Alliance. He tried to recruit us to merge, but I did not. Then we grew, and later we just had diplomatic relations with then Leaf. Rather close. I have not heard from him in a very long time. I have heard nothing about this COL whale split up thing at all. Okay, there's the first crutch, which immediately contradicts what he was saying. For some reason, ROR has shut off communications with me, which is very unusual. It used to be constant with Pro many times a day. Okay, now the next one is... he says, OS24, he says, is he trying to negotiate with you when you were getting a feel for him? He said, I found him aspirational, good to work with, but made promises that were not kept and were not always communicated well to his alliance. It caused us a major issue with City Takeover that was approved. Then after we attacked, they told us to stop. We had 2 blue allies helping us. They were not happy. Okay, so this more or less is just reconfirming what we've been seeing not only from Zhutu, but from other players in GA that have made these situations, that have kind of made these situations as well, that do align. But given this is just specifically about Zhutu, it almost kind of negates the entire purpose and point of the meeting, given that we've seen this. Now, just for people asking, well, hey, boss, that's just one person that said that. Oh, don't worry. When I ask people to fact check stuff, we like to try and go above and beyond. So here's another person from S24, and anyone is more than welcome to go and take a look at the leaderboards. You can click on these people. Again, I don't like putting stuff out unless I can back it up. So Rami, here you go. First answer, this is when we asked, how were the whales distributed? This is the same question that was asked to these players. He says, first answer, not at the moment. The clans are not ready to collaborate for the sake of the server, all but us in the blue faction. Okay, so clearly this person did not get the memo about splitting up whales for the health of the server during kill event, right? This person, here's someone else. Here's Tyron. He says, I asked the same question. He says, I haven't, and this is the person that I've been told, runs and manages S24. He says, and I haven't seen whales in the Green Alliance. A lot of exclamation points. Zhutu, were those whales in the Green Alliance? What? Okay, and now I asked another person. Here's the fourth R6. Shout out to Holy Zion. Where can I ask, if there ever was from the screenshot that was sent to me? And then they say, as you can see, it's us against 2 T5s. Okay, so, again, it was asked for these players, 4 different R6s, that we asked. More or less the same response that we got back from each. I don't know if that is enough. Don't worry, it gets better. Okay, so now let's go back to... let's go back to...
You are right.
My next one, which is 11... Okay, here we go.
About it. And all people agreed on, but I'm going to ask again in here, of course. This is not latest decision. Nothing I am speaking here is the latest decision. It can be updated, it can be changed. Okay,
Okay, so now you heard Zhutu say, we're open to hearing from everyone. It's not a latest. I couldn't tell if he was saying latest or elitist, so it came off as latest to me, He's like, it's not the latest decision, We're still open to hearing from everyone. Okay, great. That's awesome, It's never a bad thing. Okay, now we will go to... Okay, so now let's fast forward here to the next big one. And then again, I'm compounding the agreeing thing with them saying they're open to hearing everyone, and there's going to be a big bomb at the end.
Okay, so other topic, what is the plan for future of server? Actually, I'm gonna admit something here. I think Boss Nasty is in here as well. Yes, hello mate. If you like, you can speak. I don't have any problems with you anymore because we closed all pages. I need to admit that Syndicate's project was a really nice project. Okay, their diplomacy their city sharing and their concerns about server versus server or other events was partially right, and they came up with a
I just wanted to pause there because how can you agree with everything, but then you say it's partially right? Food for thought.
good plan. But the way they implement that plan was wrong. That's why we fight each other for 42 days. So for the future of server,
Okay. So he says that it was wrong, but didn't exactly say why it was wrong. And again, just for sake of argument and sake of time of the video, you're more than welcome to corroborate that with anyone else, right? And I'll let it play a little bit longer just in case, so you can
we
see.
will learn how to work together. We create a foundation of trust right here now, and we're gonna build up that tower together.
Okay, so even again, usually if you're going to say something like that, you would typically go into details more or less pretty straight away. Never really dove into that, and so again, now let me fast forward here to one. Keep in mind he agreed with everything. Now let's go to the next two big bomb drops, which is going to be here.
Uh,
No harm, no,
exactly. Look at it. They were so close. Yeah,
no harm, no
exactly.
foul.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly. Anyway, so in the end, there was a war, guys. Syndicate lost it. They were so close to destroy GA. As I watch Bosnas's video today, he's right about that. We were cornered. We were in a very tight situation, and they were very close to destroy us. But then, with some diplomacy and some movements, we managed to get our things together, and we keep fighting, and we prevailed.
Okay, so for anyone that's in S36, right, this is mainly to the players that. This is mainly to like the small group of players that left initially, right? The players like, excuse me, like Make Me Bad, like KLR, some of the other ones that left as well from the other alliances in that initial small exodus. And then also to alliance leads like Krishna and Bacon as well. This is the answer that you needed to hear. This is what myself and others pretty much knew all along. And you could tell this, again, based on a lot of factors in game, right? The delay in how often they were capturing cities, the general activity of us seeing attacks from them on a daily basis, the lack of activity in world chat and kingdom chat from some of their players during this period of downtime that was our opportunity to crush. And I also want to point out for people is that this was the breaking point. This was the moment where we needed to not take our foot off the gas, but go faster and just keep it consistent. And it also shows that one, the project not only was it in general, I think, a huge success, but that it had a chance to truly succeed if it wasn't for this breaking point, which basically shows that, and also Wajuto admitting that it wasn't GA that actually won. It was more of like they got this W by default because of players that left the group for their personal reasons, right? Whether it was they just wanted more PvP or for whatever else. But the opportunity for a long-term success of the project was there. The fact that GA was not able to do what they came into S36 to do, which was just to watch the world burn, right, by using me as their muse, right? They were not able to do that on their own. They actually needed things to happen, like what happened, in order for them to even have a chance. And we showed that based on our unity, our coordination, and how well of an organized group we were, right? And let me show you, where's my really awesome screenshot. So, like, here's an example of the big fight here that was sent to me. This was when we recaptured on the second attempt when I made that big video about us taking back the level 6 capital, excuse me, level 6, but then it was level 7 capital of Filra at the time, right? And you can see all these GA players on the perimeter, right? We went back-to-back 2 days in a row, and it was pretty much an overwhelming support. I mean, again, they couldn't do anything, right? The only reason, like we talked about in the beginning, that we didn't cap it the first time is just because we didn't add a line item in in our mails, letting people know the alliance that needs to do the last hits. We made an easy fix, an easy correction, and you saw how effortless it was to have a good communication network set up to then disseminate that information again. We come back for the second time, effortless victory. Right, this was the moment. This was the start of them getting to that low point where it could have still, right, we were still in the driver's seat. And essentially what happened is some people that were in the car just said, hey, pull over, and I want to go back where I came from. More or less. And it was, I don't know, it was interesting. Right, I think when you hear the words from him that, I mean, like, how bad does that have to taste when you made a decision, right, as a small group of players? And don't get me wrong, right, if these people want to just do nothing but PvP, that is fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But the challenge then becomes, what are the ramifications of your decision? And I think that's something that the players that left did not anticipate. They did not know truly what they were, even though I told them. Even though I had conversations with a few of the people that left to go to GA, along with the leads as well, in players like Christian and Bacon, where it was all explained to them. I even did a few voice meetings with some of these players. Not all of the ones who left, but some of them. The other ones I had texted. And, again, this is really the moment where it's good for players to defer to others that have a little bit more knowledge and more experience than they do in these types of situations. Because keep in mind, not everyone has played in a server where they've been met with resistance and they've prevailed, or they've had opportunities to prevail, or they've played in a war server and they were able to come to a solution at the end, or maybe even just win the war, right? And if you haven't been in those situations, then of course you're not going to know what to do entirely. You're not going to know what the next course of action is immediately, or how to address players, and how to do more leader and management type responsibilities, so you can give the server, your group, your alliance, and your alliance's players the best opportunity, right, to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now let me go to the big shebang, which is the next one. And keep in mind, we had been teeing this up from the beginning, where you have players that are, again, keep in mind, right, Jutu was saying, right, whoever wants to speak can speak. He's not the boss of anything, right? He wants to hear from everyone. It's not the latest decision. Things can be changed. Okay, now let's drop the bomb, where it is, and add everyone. This is from the new S36 Discord. I think at the time there was maybe 175 people in there. It says, don't worry about S36. I lend a peace hand to all. If people don't want it, we will start burning them again. All right, just totally instilling confidence here. This is solid. Right now, I'm really annoyed by people's reactions, even when we gave them the chance. Wow, how generous of you to give them the chance, and then when you hear reactions you don't like, your immediate response is, okay, let's just go back to burning everyone again. Yeah. I'm so sad and sorry. So be my guest if they don't want to be a part of this. Oh, there's a this now. I didn't realize this was a this/us versus them/everyone else that doesn't agree with you. We will be happy to go to war with anyone who refuses helping. I really don't, and obviously some nice language. So refuses helping. So helping. So keep in mind, there's some keywords here. Be my guest if you don't want to be a part of this. We're happy to go to war with anyone who refuses helping. These are very, like me, mine, our type of words that are just being worded in these sentences in a different way. But they mean more or less the same thing, which is that it's all about us, right? It's like, I'm done with diplomacy. If someone wants to be our friend, they can show their worth. Oh, so it's our friend now. But I thought we were here for everyone. I thought we wanted to hear from everyone. But, yeah, once again, pretty clear. Okay, now let's dive forward a little bit here. This was just another screenshot I wanted to share his idea. I'm simply asking, stop confusing people, go with baby steps and agree on simple things. If you can't manage... that, right, then why are we here? Why is he spending his time? Let's go to war again. Emble's like, I'm just going to be quiet, let you do your thing. As you are not open to suggestions. He says, nope, I'm done. All right, so I'm confused. Can we get the story straight? Are we open to suggestions or are we not open to suggestions? There's a little bit of back and forth going on here. Let's just make our mind up and stick with something going forward. That would be great. Okay, now I want to get to, this is a clip.
Ask yourselves, are you willing to zero out for the Oasis? Ask yourself.
Yeah. Ask yourself. Yeah, we were. And we did. In a phenomenal way. And best movie ever, possibly. At least gaming related. Okay. Now, let's go to the last 3 screenshots. And then I'm going to show you an audio clip at the end, which is phenomenal as well. So, this was Altair, right? Ooh, he finally came out and spoke, right? Because we were waiting. Like, no one had heard from this guy. And he didn't show up to the voice meeting, partly because it was a very late hour, understandable. But it would have been nice, because like we talked about, a lot of people were hoping that Altair was going to be there during the voice meeting. And or Nightmare there as well. Because keep in mind, right, Altair is the R6 of it, and more or less everyone knows that it doesn't really matter what Jutu or anyone else says, which is not to take away from the attempts that he's making, which I think have good intentions, but just fall short in almost every way possible. And so, again, I think it would have been better for them to hold the meeting when Altair and Nightmare could have been there, right? Or at least Altair minimum. So now Altair comes out and says, just looking to end this nightmare, and get everything over with. Never really had any intention of this working out. Jutu is a good guy, but not smart enough to run the server with you lovely cuddle muffins here. I'm just going to let my cat out of the bag. Oh, again? Let's just enjoy ourselves. Okay, so a couple things here. One, all he did was just reconfirm what everyone already knew, and what I had pointed out during the meeting as well, is that it doesn't matter what anyone else says, right? Because Altair, as he has already before, if he just comes out and says something, right, that's more or less where the majority of GA is going to do. In addition, I do feel bad for Jutu here, because he called him out and really insulted him, which I think is just, really sad, right? And keep in mind that, he says, not smart enough to run the server. But at the same time, Altair and anyone else from GA isn't really trying to run anything anyways, right? This all goes back to the reason they came, was just to watch the project burn, right? And they just wanted to, I don't know, just watch my project burn, or everything that I had built, when, restarting can always kind of save that. So, all right, now let's move forward to the next one. So here's the next big one, right? Let me start off at the top. This is Altair sent this out. He says, I know the neutrality situation has gone out of hand. Now, keep in mind, this was when GA was calling for alliances to go neutral. BN, being the Bobby Fischer strategist that I feel I can be at certain times, already thought of how to take advantage of this. From day one. The moment that Jutu and others started calling for alliances to be neutral was really the end of what they thought they could do. In their mind, they were probably thinking, all right, we'll just have everyone go neutral. More and more people are going to call for neutrality. No one's going to be supporting syndicates, and then they're just going to fight by themselves. And then I don't really know what the thought was after that. Was it they'll leave? Was it they'll stop playing, and then we'll be good? I'm not sure, right? Because obviously there's no insight there. But seeing as how that was trending, or better yet, the moment that it was initially announced, I thought to myself, well, you know what? A backup option at the end of the day could just be, let's all go neutral, and let's see how they'll react. This is now their reaction. Let's continue. He says, I know the neutrality situation has got out of hand, and as the leader of GA, I like how he reiterates he's the leader of GA, right? Almost like it's just another jab at Jutu, indirectly. Maybe I'm reading into that. I want to know my members' true feelings about these syndicates becoming neutrals. Jutu's plan is to make all neutral alliances. Again, I like how he says Jutu's plan. So does that mean that this plan was never signed off by Altair in the beginning? Or is he just stating that it came from Jutu and they were going to try it? He says it was his plan to go against the Syndicates and I have no problem with it. Okay, so he said he has no problem with it. But even the Syndicates now have become neutrals. I don't know if Jutu expects this to happen or if he has a plan on hand, but in my opinion, I do not like where this is heading. I want to discuss with everyone. Right, click if you agree with the situation, X if you don't. We'll have an open discussion after. Okay, again, they didn't anticipate it. I know you didn't anticipate it. So now let's go forward with the next one. So you had 16 people that were just okay with being fine with the situation, right? 30 people. Keep in mind these are 4-hour statistic mails that are being sent out, right? So it's not going to be an accurate indication of how everyone is represented in the alliance. But you had 30 people that didn't. Now, here's where it gets interesting, as this line indicates. Look at who said they're not fine with it. Isn't this the guy who was hosting the meeting? Oh gosh, my face hurts so much right now. Okay. Just wanted to show that. And now, for the big juice, right, Altair made another account and says that he's been muted by the IKGMs. Right, a lot of just very colorful Spy Kid-like language. I swear I will make this entire server burn. Right, I don't care about you being neutral. BN Simps. Nightmare gave me his account info, and now GA is going to burn this entire server. We don't care about the server, all you plebs. We have our mains on S8. Oh, interesting. Cool. I mean, it's nice to get a little bit of a confirmation there. In that case, I wonder why you were muted. It definitely wasn't for the Care Bear-like hugs that you're giving out. That is for sure. Wow. Got a mouth on you there. Okay, guys, look. I mean, that's pretty much it. Right, that's more or less... Oh, my bad, I forgot almost the biggest one. Oh, wow. How am I forgetting this? Okay, here's the big one here, which is... I think it was the last one. Okay, here we go. So, yo, let me do this one. Hang on. Is this my recording? Why am I just, like, re-listening to myself? That doesn't make any sense. Hang on. Let's go where it wasn't. Here we go. All right. So, here's... from the meeting after everything happened. So this is our roundup meeting after the GA meeting happened, and it gets even better. Just wait. Okay.
And he...
A lot of broad and vague if you're being sold something where the person selling it to you doesn't really know too much about the product. It's almost like you got someone that's trying to sell you something on the first day of the job. And that's kind of how it came across to me while I was just listening to what Jutu was saying. Like, there really wasn't any specific details that were provided that made it seem like it was an idea or something of his own. It was almost like, hey, we just all want to come together, we want to squash the beef, but we want everyone's help in formulating what the goals are going to be, right? So it's almost like we're not going to do any of the actual work ourselves initially, right, outside of taking from what currently already exists. And part of it almost felt to me like he was reading off a script. It almost felt like he came on our Discord or had some people scout some information out on our Discord for how we have things set up. And it was like he read everything down, and you could tell he was pausing in between. Again, I don't know if that's what was happening, but that's just how it seemed to me. I don't know if anyone else got that impression, or if maybe it was just me off.
It definitely wasn't you. As I said, Jutu and I had a chat about 8 hours before that meeting, and I recorded that one. It was the first 15 minutes of my chat with him was word for word, with there was one word difference in the first 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so basically what Ulevin's there saying is that, there was information that was shared, and whether it was Jutu providing it or re-providing, that it was pretty much word for word for how we had all our policies set up, how the structure was set up, and again, just reconfirms more of what we thought, right? It's, again, I think if anything, I would probably just say that, this is why it's really important when you are trying to, manage or organize or just attempt to lead things is that if you don't have any experience in doing it, right? This is what I always talk about this a lot, which is that there's a big difference between managing a server and managing an alliance. Two completely different things. They're not even comparable. And if you've never managed a project, if you've never been a part of kingdom management or server management, where you are, at that kind of council, high council level, or you're just the person who makes the decisions, right, or has the last say, you probably don't know that much about what goes into everything that you have to do, right? I mean, I love doing this stuff, and it's still a passion for me. But at the same time, it is like a second job to an extent as well. And I think people who have done this before, you probably know that as well, and you get exactly where I'm coming from. So I think in conclusion, now that we've had a chance to share a bunch of audio, we've shared a lot of screenshots, we've shown you some evidence, right? How do I think everything went? I briefly touched on it in the beginning of the video. I think for the most part, like I said, I think everything in S36 overall went great. We had multiple opportunities to have S36 still be successful, right? And you can make the argument that even at this point, if everyone came together, then we could probably still do that exact same thing, right? If you had Krishna and MYT came back, if you had Bacon from IS come back, right, and you had a couple of the other alliances, like within the top 10, ideally top 15 or top 20, right, and everyone banded together, you could still do it even right now as I'm saying it, right? S36 is not completely lost yet as far as allowing, GA just to kind of run everything and it just being server-wide PvP and just watching the world burn, right? It is not at that point yet. It is very close, but it is not at that point. But at the same time, it is going to be difficult to do that because, one, keep in mind, all leaders in any server that come into a new game or just a new server all come in with varying levels of experience and knowledge that they bring up to that point. So you don't know if everyone has war experience or if they have met resistance in other servers, kingdoms, or games they've played in similar kingdom builders, right? To know what to do or what the next course of action is. And, the fact that you just have quite a few alliances that are taking the neutrality standpoint, right? Inaction is an action. And by you declaring yourself to be neutral, right, it does a couple things. One, it just demoralizes the server in general in a couple ways, because by you declaring neutrality, you don't want to do anything, but you want to be the one to reap all the rewards for whatever side wins. That's the thing that gets me about alliances going neutral, is that, right, they go neutral because they don't want to fight, or they don't want their players to be in danger of fighting. But once all the fighting's done, then it becomes, oh, hey, so can I get this city now? Or, hey, can you help us take this city? Or, hey, can we get some help for this? Or, it's, we want this, or we would like that. And this happens every time. Now, don't get me wrong. It may not be every alliance that declares neutrality that then starts to ask for things, but it's going to be a lot, if not all. And, that's the thing for me. And also keep in mind is that I don't hold a lot of this against a lot of the alliances in S36, and it's because of what I talked about before, is that we can't assume what people know. We can't assume their current level of knowledge or experience in these games, or them feeling confident in being able to make a decision that they feel is right or appropriate, right, for their course of action to take next. Right, even though I do feel disappointed about it, because you just hear them talking about how we had multiple chances with the one big chance there at the end, and right, if those decisions just weren't made, we would be in an entirely different server right now. We'd actually be able to put forth a lot of our management practices and policies that we wanted to, where a lot of the alliances in the top 20 would have been able to start seeing these things flourish a lot more when it comes to quicker city distribution, getting them involved in other areas, and still allowing for good, organized, controlled PvP, right, in the best of ways. And again, people just didn't have faith in that. And this is exactly why, some people didn't have faith in that. And that, for me, I think is the more disappointing part of it all, is that you have so many players here, not only myself, but others, that have a plethora of kingdom builder experience because they've played in multiple kingdoms, and even for a long period of time, to see a lot of these things play out. And again, it just fell short for, I think, for those players and alliances that left, in not asking more, and not really hearing and listening to what these players were telling them, that more likely than not just had more experience than they did. Now, again, that is, as always, albeit the people who just want to do nothing but PvP and watch the world burn. But keep in mind, those players can be limited in what they can do if you have a united front, right? And I'll say the one good thing, not even one good thing, but one of the good things about S8 is we did that, right? There was an alliance that came out, and they just wanted to do nothing but fight, and they just wanted to war, and there was a couple players that came out, and we squashed that immediately, right? That was an amazing effort. And again, it can be done. And just like in S36, there was a chance to do it. And I think that's, once again, as I've probably regurgitated this 20 times already, that was really the biggest disappointment, is that the players who left, it wasn't GA that more or less led the server down this path. It was the players that left and the 2 alliance leads that left, when there was still so much shining hope. There was still so much light at the end of the tunnel to not be in the situation that we're in now. And again, these people that I'm mentioning, right, they're good people. I've talked to these guys. I'm just talking about the in-game decision-making that led to this, right? And so, again, just some food for thought, if anything. That's it for me. I didn't realize this was going to be as long of a video as I thought it was going to be. So, if anything, if you've made it to the end, the last thing I'll talk about, as I said, is the jumper project. Again, we are going to be starting a new jumper project. If you're interested, you can join the Discord. There's information on there, along with a role that you can get assigned in our React for Roles channel. Link, I think if I didn't already say it, because I always suffer from short-term memory loss sometimes, is in the description down below. That's it from me. Until my next video, I'm outie. Peace it.